How's it going, guys, and welcome again to my channel. This is Louis with Art Video Productions, and today here we're gonna kick up a notch. I'm reviewing the Rotolight Titan X2. Right now I have actually a comparison with another light. Why don't you see what this thing can do compared to the Titan X2. So as you can see, today we're reviewing some budget lights here. I forgot to put the word high in the middle, high budget lights. And this is the Rotolight Titan X2. And this is the LUXLI Taiko. Both of these lights were sent to me. This was sent to me on 2019, around December 18th to be exact, actually. And this light here, I just got it yesterday, and I'm actually going to be reviewing this light and also showing you a lot of features that this light also has. And a lot of people, as far as I can guess, have not heard the name of LUXLI before, just our sky panel and such. But today I'm going to be introducing you guys both of these lights here. I don't know how long the length of this video is going to be, but we're talking about two massive lights right here. And my channel is the channel that not only does reviews, it's like a mixture of a workshop slash tutorial, filmmaking tips, and a full review of the lights. When I review something here, I review it to the bone. This light here is pretty much the Rolls Royce of the cinema industry for lighting, and it's a privilege for very few people to have something like this here on set to review, and I'm very fortunate to have one of these lights here to show you guys. And if this is not the most complete, the most comprehensive video ever on YouTube before February 25th, 2021, you let me know in the comment section right there. I'm gonna show you guys from A to Z, every single button, the entire owner's manual of this light, the actual firmware update, how not to break your lights, because this light is in excess of $4,000, and something that you don't want to do is to have the light turn instantly into a brick. So stick around, there's a lot of things to know about this light here. I still cannot believe that this light is actually sitting in front of me here. This is like unbelievable, and this light is absolutely a beast. And let's start with the outside of the light, with the construction and the craftsmanship of this light. Look at the design of this thing, and this is actually the first light in the world that has full touchscreen capability. Everything here is made of metal. This light is extremely heavy. It's not an easy thing to carry around, so make sure you have a decent stand, preferably a C stand. All they sent here is the power supply, which is actually hanging on the stand. I actually taped everything here so nothing scratches this beautiful power supply, which we're going to be talking about this later. So right now the power supply is right here, and I don't have the barn doors, but even if it did have a barn door, on actual panels like this, I never use the barn door. I usually use the panel the way it is here. Now this one hardware that they offer here, of course it is a very rugged unit, but as far as the limitation of a Swan device here to mount the light, it's okay, because even if you tighten a lot, the light will sometimes kind of not be wanting to sit where it should, especially if you move the light. This is gonna tilt a little bit, so you have to correct over here. So what I would recommend for you guys to have is the actual yoke, which keeps the center of gravity in the middle, because the Swan one will have the light, will cause the light to kind of, the weight to tilt forward, causing more stress on the stand here. And also the power supply, you have the ability to connect it here, so this light can be everything mounted in one piece, the light itself, the power supply, everything here plus the yoke. And depending on what kind of mount you have, you can even dish the yoke. This light can actually be placed on the floor without any other mounting hardware. You simply place this thing on the floor and it will stay. This light can also be placed on the floor as long as you tilt the yoke a little bit, which will serve as a little tripod kind of thing. But with either light, I would never recommend that you guys actually place this light bare on a concrete, especially without putting a towel or something soft or the packaging that came with the box, because again, these lights are gorgeous, especially this one here. This light is an RGB WW, which means it features two white chips besides the RGB themselves for a better color accuracy. And also the way they made this whole display here, this is the first light that has a full touchscreen display. And as you can see, everything is in front of your face. There's no sub-menus, no complicated things to waste time and to look for. Everything is right here. So when you actually have this light on set, you don't have to give your crew a little lesson how to operate this light, because everything is self-explanatory. Even though this can be a pretty intimidating light, it's a very expensive light. The look of the light is scary in a good sense. So when you look at the simplicity of the panel and design here of this light, you're gonna see how an expensive light can be actually even simpler than a $200 little light, because again, everything is right here. And these three knobs here, they have different functions, but they are placed exactly where they should be. This light features a green magenta correction. you can actually dial with your hands, or you can actually come down here and press and hold this button, and then you're actually controlling in a fine-tune mode to your green or desired magenta correction. Here's the brightness. It goes from 0% to 0.5% all the way up to a ridiculous 100%. That's a lot of power. The thing is here, when you actually dim the light or whatever you do, it has a software that senses, oh, I need a little bit of gain on magenta or green or whatever, even on RGB mode. Whatever it is that you do with this light is going to keep a consistent balance, which is unheard of any other light that I know. This is actually very helpful when you actually dim the light to such a low percentage, and then when you start to change color temperatures and everything, the software again is going to tweak automatically. Oh, it needs a little magenta here, or it's getting too green. So this thing actually auto-corrects for you. So it does all this work behind the scenes here without you even having to worry about what's going on. So the end result, all you're gonna have is color accuracy from 0 to 100. Now the technology here that they put on the front panel, just think of privacy glass. It's the same concept, and I've never seen a light that features that kind of thing, which is pretty genius thing to do here. So the ability to have the panel to change from no diffusion to full diffusion, it has a liquid crystal film here that receives electrical current. So the particles inside there, and somehow they behave in a way that allows you to actually have this type of cool feature here by either applying field diffusion or something between, which is also cool because imagine if you have a softbox here, hey, can I have a 14% of extra diffusion or less diffusion? So this is when this thing shines. Another thing with this light that's absolutely mind-blowing, not only you can actually control the degree of diffusion without putting any softbox or any diffuser in front of this light here. It works beautifully for most applications. It's also the ability to control the beam angle. For example, I'm going to give you an example here. Right now, the light is at the 100% diffusion, which is about 115 degree beam angle right here. You notice how the light is going to be a little spottier when you actually turn off the diffusion. You see this, the angle, the beam angle varies. Again, I'm going to show you. We have a tight spot right now, and then it's going to go to a full flood. Let me increase this so you can see, I think. Let me go really fast here. There you go. See, I have my false colors and my zebras, like, you know, right in the center of the screen right there, around here. And when you go back to the diffusion, I don't see those zebras there anymore. So everything makes sense here. If you want a soft diffuse light, of course you want to have a wider beam angle. And then when you turn to a harsher light here, you want a more concentration of the light in a particular area. Another question that you might ask, is this light waterproof? Of course not, it's a light, right? But actually it has a IP20 standards, which you can actually use a rain cover to protect both the light and the power supply, also available from Rotolight. Now let's talk about the power supply here. Of course, what goes on the electrical components inside this unit, and also the amazing design of the thing outside. And this is actually an idiot proof because this light's here. Not to mention the how robust these cables are. As you can see how thick of a gauge these cables have, both AC and DC. Let's say it's a female input here, and the AC cable is actually a male. So when you have both cables, maybe you're working in a dark or in a rush, or somebody is just dumb enough to mix the two, right? Not to mention it's written on the actual thing, DC and then the AC plug right there. But you cannot make a mistake because, again, one is female, the other one is male, so there's no way to mess this up. Even if you want to, you can't. And this thing is pretty heavy too. Everything high-end usually is heavy, right? So you can actually have the convenience to actually attach this directly to the same mount over here, so you can actually have the light itself, the power brick right here, and even something else after the power brick, because you have a way to mount right here, and another thing to mount something else right here as well. Now the cables are super robust, but if I'm gonna complain about something here, would be the length of the power cord that attaches to the outlet. The thing is like pretty much like, I don't know, it's pretty short. So make sure you have a decent gauge extension cord to be prepared to run this on the longer run on your set. Everything that you see here on the back of the light, including the handles, everything is made of a very robust and solid aluminum. What I don't like about the finish here, even though this looks gorgeous with the first time you unpack this, these things are so easy to scratch, even with a cloth that cleans glasses. Like this glasses right here is enough to scratch this over time. So even if you are super gentle, this glossy piano finish here is not going to last that long. But as far as rigidity, this thing is a tank. You cannot break this light unless you drop this from here to the concrete floor, and then you're asking for too much, right? But you cannot break this light. Another advantage of having the swan neck is because you can actually tilt this light fully vertically if you ever need it to be. The yoke can't do that, so if you need both ways, you should buy the yoke and also this. For the swan mount type, I'm also going to give you a tip because I've been doing this stuff for so long and I actually have a special touch for everything that I handle. So if you want to control the position of the light using the swan mount here, you should hold it from here and let your elbow rest right here so you can actually lock the light in your arm like this and let this thing move freely, but you can actually control the weight of the light. For example, right now, I have my hand right here, put the elbow right here, loosen this, the light is not going anywhere, and trust me, this thing is really heavy, so I'm effortless here. See how much control I have of the swan neck thing here? And then when you're ready, you will position the light this way here. Good. You want to change the position, put your hand here, elbow sitting right on the thing underneath there, and then you want to control the light again. You can do it whatever shape, and tighten it back. This is how you use the swan in the best way possible and the most safe possible way. Now let's take a look here of the entire manual of this light here. So let's start with the home, and you have your CCT, your RGBW, your HSI, your XY, and your gel filters right here. So going back to the CCT, you can go from 3000 Kelvin all the way to 10,000 Kelvin. Again, I wish you double tap, it goes back to the 5600. This light here, for example, you tap on this button right here, you switch the light to off, and then whatever percentage you have here. This one here, you go from 3200 Kelvin and 5600 Kelvin. You press the button again, is at 3200 Kelvin. But again, we're going to be talking about this light later. Don't go nowhere. Going back to this light right here. And again, here's your brightness knob and your diffusion knob. And you can actually have a control of a ridiculous 20 Kelvin increments, which is an ultra fine control. And on top here, you have your green magenta correction all the way to the extremes, to the greenish or magentish, or a subtle little amount here. Now if you want to do precise control on this, either the color temperature or the magenta green correction, all you have to do is to tap on the screen here and let your finger rotate like this. You don't let go, and then you precisely control the light, as you can see here, like this. Now if you want to use the knob, all you have to do is to highlight which one you want. Let's say that you want to do the magenta, it switches here to the magenta, to 0, or you tap right here to highlight the CCT, and then you control this way here. Or you can actually press and hold, and it alternates from the top, which is the arrow here. Now you're controlling the magenta green settings. Let go of the button, now you're back to the color temperature here, press it again, you're controlling the upper row right here. And you see those numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to I think it's 22. You can also create your own preset on any settings here, RGB or CCT. You just press and hold, and then save to preset, yes. Let's save that. So whatever it is that you're doing here, if you are in a particular scene, you guys took a break and then you want to recall the particular setting, whatever it is that you did. So now you have a little line here which indicates something was already created here on this particular number here. So if you want to switch to the number 2, you can also create another preset or whatever it is that you want to do, save it. And then whatever it is that you're doing here, it's going to recall it by just pressing this button here. Recall preset, yes, it goes back to the same exact thing. So right now I'm going to go to the extremes here, all the way to the magenta there, to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. Press and hold. You can also overwrite, save to preset, yes. There you go. So let's see what happens here. I'm changing settings here. And now I'm going to be calling this back here. Recall preset, exactly. Well, it actually didn't. It's supposed to be at the 10,000 Kelvin. Let's do this again. Let's try another one here. So I have this thing all the way down to the full magenta, and this one here all the way up to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. I'm sure it's just a software kind of thing. So let's press and hold this button again. Save to preset, yes, saved. So let's change the setting here. So when you press this to load, to record the preset, yes, this is supposed to be all the way back here to the 10,000 when it's not. So I guess they need to do a little bit of a firmware update here again. I just updated this today on the computer to the latest software. So when I go to their website, which is rotolight.com, /Titan-updates and something else there. So here's the release notes. It tells you what's been updated so far. Page 104. You're welcome to pause the video here. I'm gonna go real quick here just so you have it, or you can just go to the website. So here's the steps. So how to update the Titan. Step 1, you gotta choose a USB stick, preferably SanDisk or reputable brand, not USB 3.0. And then step 2, you gotta format it to FAT32 on a computer. Copy and paste the file and to your USB. And then you're also gonna rename the file to update.bin. No quotes, no nothing, just update.bin. Rename it, eject the drive, put it on a light here. Make sure the light is off. The power supply can be on as long as this light is not turned on. And then you want to stick the USB flash drive right here. And then you're going to press and hold these two left and right buttons here simultaneously. You do not want to let go of those buttons. So make sure the power supply is close to you and everything is close to you here. So again, what you want to do is to press and hold these two knobs here. And then while you're doing that, you turn on the light and do not let go. A bunch of things are going to flash here until you see the actual flash icon flashing, and then you can actually safely let this go, and then you're going to be seeing the firmware update happening. And also it takes about 3 minutes to do so. What's going to happen later, the light is going to be rebooting, the Rotolight logo appears again, and then you're welcome to use your light. I would recommend you to shut it down once more and then turn it back on, just to so it sits properly on the light. But the firmware upgrade is very intuitive, very easy to use. And if some case you get stuck with a screen or whatever it is, all you have to do is to power off the light and turn it back on. The light will recognize where the fault was, and it's going to reinitiate the update again. So you don't have to have a heart attack. You're not going to break a light this way, okay? Do not let go of these buttons here. Everything else, the light will take care of itself if something happens during the procedure of the firmware update. Now the next page will be the RGBW. And you notice that the brightness is no longer located here. So again, the CCT, the brightness was right here and a single function button. So on the RGBW, you actually have to either press and hold to access the brightness. And if you let go, you're actually controlling the red levels here, for example, in this case. But of course, people are going to complain that, oh, I accidentally was controlling the brightness here, and then the button kind of slipped out of my hand, and then right now I'm messing up my red settings here. All you have to do is to simply tap where you want, so you don't have to press and hold. You can, but you don't have to. You want to control the brightness, you just tap here. Now this button is only controlling the brightness. Let me set a decent level there so it doesn't blow my exposure here. And you can actually tap on the bottom here, which you can actually control the red levels. You can go back to 0, and then you tap right here to control the green levels, and then same thing with the white. Next will be the HSI, and you can also control the full scale here from red all the way to red again. And of course you can still apply your diffusion here. Just tap here, and this is going to control the degree of diffusion. Tap down here, you're controlling the brightness. And the hue right here you can control by the knobs or by the finger here. And the same thing with the saturation all the way to 0%. And again, this light has the ability to provide you 0.5% all the way to a ridiculous whatever power this is here, which we're going to be measuring with a kilowatt device, how much power you're going to have from, like, a little bit to 50% all the way to 100%. Like I said, this video is going to cover every single thing that no other YouTube creator is actually even come close to what I'm demonstrating here. So now this is a touchscreen button here, but this doesn't have any effect on this particular page here. So as you can see, it doesn't work. So this doesn't even need to be here because you already have these buttons here. But you know, for the settings, yes, you can do a lot of things with this particular touchscreen here. And remind you again that we are at the home page still. And next we have the XY page here, and this is the full gamut. And then you have the control here manually by the knobs, or you can actually slide a finger here to the whole spectrum of the thing here, which is pretty cool. And again, you can actually do your diffusion, whatever you want, control your brightness of the light, control everything here, the saturation, whatever, up and down. But it gets better than this. You want to go to the settings, which is the system, and then you want to find here the color space, and then you click here. And then these buttons here, they represent the value. This one here is going to scroll up and down. And this one here is gonna do the same exact thing. So, and then you have the option for full gamut, which is exactly what this is here, right? So you can change to something else, go to the system, and then full gamut, and then try Rec 709. Go back to the home button here. Now you notice that it's only applying to colors pertaining to the Rec 709, so there's a limitation here, but this is what you want. You have that ability. Go back to the system. You can actually switch to Rec 2020. Go back to the home here, and then this is the actual situation here. And then go back to the system again for the full gamut again. And there you go. See, as you can see, everything is so intuitive here. Everything is a touch screen. You go back to the home page and the settings thing. Nothing changed to something other or whatever page. Next will be the filters, which they have the every single Lee and Roscoe gels ever made. And if you have the gel number, you can actually dial in on the light here. You can actually tell the light what number it is, like 3604 or whatever, because every gel they come with a little piece of with the code. You can actually input on the light here, or you have only 1400 gels to choose here. So here's the gels here. You can actually use the knobs to do this one here, or you can actually select what type of gel it is. For example, the red, this button here is gonna cycle through every single thing pertaining to red. This one here, every single thing pertaining to yellow. And of course, you can also use the fingers to choose your particular palette of colors here. And of course, the diffusion can be applied on every single one of these pages, and the brightness as well. So you can go by number, which will just dial this way here, or by color. So since there are 1400 gels here, you're going to be spending the whole night just looking for what they have over here. So it's absolutely insane. How much green do you need? How much blue do you need? And there's more information. When you actually single tap here, it tells you this one is a pleasing effect for the theatrical lighting. So let's choose another thing here. So tapping this one here, this is a warm effect for sunlight. And lastly, this one here is a cosmetic peach. And is whatever. It tells you what it is, so you cannot go wrong with this thing here. And again, whatever it is that you change here, you can also press and hold to save your preset, yes or no. But again, on the CCT mode here, that thing needs a little bit of a fine update because it wasn't doing what I told it to do. Remember when I recall this preset here. Let's see, change that again. Let's see, recall. See, it's not doing it. It's supposed to be at the 10,000 Kelvin. So if Rotolight is watching the video, just make sure you do a little fine tuning with the firmware update here. Now let's go to the system here, which is the SYS. So right now you have the thermal management auto, which is the fan. And check this out. You have the maximum and the auto, which the fan is gonna shut off completely. In most situations, I don't think this thing will ever kick in unless it is kind of hot. And then the next one will be the stealth mode, which the manual also highly recommends that you leave it at this position here. There's nothing wrong with a little air being blown on the circuitry of the light here. And this fan here, you cannot hear this on an interview. So they made sure this fan is really quiet. I'm gonna be killing this light here. This one doesn't have a fan, but this one does. Let me just unplug that real quick, and I'm gonna show you the actual fan noise with the microphone being pointed. I can actually touch the microphone right here. So this is actually 1.5 feet away from my mouth and pointing directly at me and this light. So on an interview set, you're gonna probably have the light coming from this direction right here, and the light's gonna be behind the microphone. So this way here is the wrong way to have the light placed, right? Because this is not the way you light subjects, right? So the microphone is right here and the light is behind and at least 4 feet away. So bear with me here a second. So here's the actual fan noise on the unit on stealth mode, but remind you that you can actually kill the fan completely. But I would highly recommend, I don't know, I just like a little fan here to make the light breathe. So if you absolutely have to kill the fan, don't worry. Put it back to auto here. And where's the fan? So this particular studio here, you can hear every single thing. A needle falls on the carpet here, you can hear. So most situations on a movie scene, there's always a little noise going on, especially if you're shooting in a bar or a restaurant or on the street, right? And when you are in a quiet place like this that requires dead silence, there you go, the light delivers. But other than that, always make sure the light is on, at least on stealth mode. So right now we are on stealth mode, and this is the noise that you hear with the microphone pointing directly at the device here. Now, since the light is supposed to be on the back, let me turn the microphone that way. And this is the fan noise that you hear with the microphone pointing that way. And this is a Rode NTG4 Plus shotgun microphone, which is a very narrow pickup pattern. So here's the noise. All right, the microphone is back at me here. Now, when you are shooting a music video, or anything that's not related to critical, like interview or dialogue in a movie set on a very quiet place or whatever, if you're shooting something that's pretty hot outside, make sure you treat the light the same way you're gonna treat you with a nice cold Pepsi on a hot day. So just make sure you have the fan screaming here on maximum mode. So let this fan scream, and it's gonna save you a lot of components on this light here when it's hot, and you leave it like this all day. Now when you bring the light inside, there's another scene that requires everything to be quiet. You just, tell the light to shut the hell up, and then there you go. No fan. And I've been working with this light here for at least 3 hours right now. Before I made this video, this light was at, I think, 50%, 75%. I didn't hear the fan kick in. It's pretty cold in here. The temperature is about 64 degrees or 62 degrees. And I didn't hear this fan turn on once. Now this buttons here is gonna work now, at least on this page here. You can actually go here, about, everything. So next here we have the fine dimming mode. Dimming, I don't mean by dimming over here. It's the same, like 0.5%, doesn't make any difference, whatever setting that you have over there. So that fine dimming thing, let's go back to the system here. Set you off right now. So this is what's gonna happen here. Let's go back to the home screen, back to the CCT. Just in case you want to do a transition, something gradual, while the cameras are rolling, you can actually get away with this thing as long as your settings there is set to the finest. So let's go back to off here and switch to the finest. Go back to the home page for the CCT. And then let's say they want to ramp up from 3000 degrees Kelvin all the way to 10,000. So it's doing a pretty good job. I think occasionally something might like flash a couple times, but I think you can get away with this here. Let me see the speed. Let's do something really slow. I think you can get away with this. So let's go back to the system here. I already showed you the finest. You pretty much have an idea what the medium will do. Let's switch it to off completely. Go back to the home page here. Now you're not going to have the same precision. See how it flashes now? See, boom, boom, boom. So again, if you need that very particular, meticulous kind of thing here, just to make sure this thing is at the finest, and then you're gonna have a very nice ramp up or down here. So I'm not particularly too much of a big fan of this touch screen. It's okay, but sometimes you have to kind of double tap or whatever. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. See that? You gotta press it twice sometimes. Now the color space here, you have again the full gamut and the Rec 709 and the Rec 2020, as I showed you before. Let's see here. And then the camera LUT. Before I updated the firmware, these LUTs, they were here. So I guess they got erased with the firmware. I don't know if you have to re-download this somehow, but this is no longer working. They had LUTs for ARRI Alexa, for the Canon C300 or whatever. So somehow I cannot show you this right now. They were here before I updated the firmware on this thing here. And the display always on to buttons only. So auto off, I always like the display to be, there you go, see, auto off, which is kind of cool. If you don't want any particular light to disturb any part of your scene or set, you got it. And then I switch back to the always on, which is factory default. And rotate display, power source AC adapter. I'm not sure what's going on here. These settings, they are no longer available. I'm still learning about this light, okay? I might make a couple mistakes here, but all I'm telling that this thing was here before, and right now it's not. Let me know what I did wrong here. I'm pretty sure this is something that's so simple, something that I forgot to do here to restore all these things to light up. Then you have your dimming curve, linear, exponential, and next we have the brightest mode here. you have the max lux and the constant lux. When you are on necessity mode, for example, when you actually change the colors. How many light panels do you guys have there when you are on 3200 and put it back to in the middle to 4200? Doesn't the light get a lot brighter, especially the cheap lights, right? So constant lux, you go to the home page again. Let's do necessity here. And as you can see, the color temperature changes, but the intensity of the light is spot on. Then when I go back there, change it to something else, to a full output. Sorry, wrong one. Full output here, max lux. Go back to the home page, and then, as you can see, I was right. See that? 3200 in the middle. This light's gonna get a lot brighter. See that? And then back to the 10,000. And then here's the factory reset. Let's actually apply that. So you just tap, nothing happens, right? You need this button here to turn to the right or left, and then you tap in here. Erase all presets. Yes, screw it. Let's see what happens. Here you go. Now go back to the system here. And nope, camera LUT, all this stuff is gone. This was here before. Sorry guys, I can't demonstrate none of this other controls here since they are dimmed. And this is the about, serial number of the light, the firmware update version and everything here. USB. I don't know why this is here, because I'm just following what the manufacturer is suggesting on the latest way to do it, is by holding down these two buttons here and while the light is off, like as I was explaining before. Now the info here, you have the temperature of the light, all that good stuff here, the current voltage, the flash voltage, you can still control the brightness of the light even on settings. And this is actually where you control your flash. You can actually even tell your camera what ISO you are, the exposure, you know, you want the f-stop, how bright the thing gets. So I'm gonna show the ISO 800 because this is the native sensor of my Canon C200. In case you wanna capture, you know, with a flash here and there's a lamp in the bedroom there. So this is when, you know, when you use a higher ISO, you can actually capture better the ambient lighting with the flash. When it's set it to 100 or something really ridiculous like ISO 25, when you fire the flash, all the existing ambient lighting is going to be gone. So to balance it out, choose a higher ISO and the exposure. How fast are you shooting? 1/1000th of a second, 1/2000th of a second, or all the way to 1 second. And also the f-stop or aperture of your camera. So I don't know, f5.6 I'm assuming is 56, something like that. I don't know, something like that. Now let's go to the effects page, which is FX. And the good thing about this, you can also go back to the settings or the home page and tweak the color temperature. For example, the flash, you can actually go anywhere from 3000 Kelvin to 10,000, things like that. So this is a little bit different than most light effects that I see on other lights, including this one here. So right now we are at the fade, and then you want to adjust your brightness to whatever level that you want. Let's go blast it to 100%, okay? So here's the trigger, as you can see, and the time, 1 second. So when you press the trigger, I think I have to press this, there you go, yeah. Then, 1 second, right? Now let's do 5 seconds here. Make sure that's on, and then press the trigger. And I think I have to press this button here. There you go, 5 seconds. Ramp down to 5 seconds or so. Pretty cool. Now the lighting here, you have the speed of the lighting. Let's see what happens at 50. So you go real quick, right? Okay, cool. And here's your brightness and everything here. Let me switch to something that's more exposure friendly here. Maybe 24%, 25%. Okay. So to change the color temperature, all you have to do, this is applied to every single effect, okay? So go back to the home page. The beautiful thing about this light, because when you go back to where you were before, everything remains where it was, okay? So right now I'm at 5600 degrees Kelvin. Let's do a lightning at, this one here. Go back to the S effects. Now the lightning is at 3000 degrees Kelvin, as you can see. Then I go back there again. You want to do 10,000 and all the way to the sort of magenta thing. Go back to the S effects, and then that's a color right there. That's pretty cool. Now the same thing for the strobe. Right now is at the color. You're free to go back to the home anytime. and then do your adjustments here to 0 here, and I don't know, 50 some degrees Kelvin here, and then you go back to the S effects. Now the lightning is in that color. And then of course you can adjust the brightness level to something that's most appropriate for you. In my case it's about 25%. Then here you have the cycle, then the speed. You can go really slow all the way to super fast. It's gonna cycle like really fast. And then something between here, like I don't know, 20-some%. It's gonna gradually fade like that. And again, you control the brightness and whatnot. Next one will be the fire. So this is not really a fire color, right? So no problem. Go back to the home thing here, and then you wanna do as warm as possible, and go back to that. And that's your fire. And then you actually adjust the flame level here to whatever, for this particular exposure here to look like candlelight. Let me kill some of these lights here. Now that's much better. All you see now is the actual effects here, just the light itself. And then you can actually adjust the brightness. I think for this particular exposure here looks best. And then you can also hit the glow, which you tap on the screen here, and now you're controlling the glow. Which does this, something slow, or something more aggressive like this here, somewhere in those parameters there. Now the design of this light here is super awesome, because if you need to lay this thing on the concrete, especially when you're using the effects such as the candlelight, for example, a fireplace, guess where you're going to be placing the light? On the floor, because usually a fireplace, right, the fire is near the ground, right? So it's a very clever way to apply that effect for a more realistic look, because if you put the light level, because your fireplace is not this high, right? It's usually near the floor. So you want to place this light on the floor, especially if you have a barn door with a little bit of control there. You can see, the sunlight is coming from above. So when you use a reflector, a lot of people, they use the reflector like this, which is the wrong way. It's supposed to aim up, because the sunlight is supposed to come from above. But a fireplace effect is the opposite. It comes from under, right? So remember that when you use your fireplace effect here. Then next you have the police. Now this panel here divides into two. So left will be the blue and the right will be the red, which simulates more to the actual real thing that the police cars have, because they're far away apart, right? And then here you have the mode, 6 flashes or 2, like this, all the way to 6. And then the speed of the actual thing, this is at speed 50. And speed 1 will be something like this here. I think this particular effect needs work on the firmware update, because wait until you see the police light on this light right here on the LUXLI Taiko, and the amount of control just for the police light. You just wait until I show you guys this light right here. Then here you can actually have blue-red, red-blue. You can alternate just blue only, red only. The LUXLI Taiko also features not only all this, but also features white, blue, and red as well. Or you can actually press the trigger here, and then you do this here. If these buttons were made of rubber, it would be a silent button, but you can actually trigger like this. Which next is going to be the TV, and then again, you can actually choose this particular color here, or you can go back to the home and select something about, I don't know, 6,500, 7,000 degrees, and then go back to the effects, and this is the actual TV color right there. Next will be the fireworks. It doesn't work right now. The manual is saying that this is going to be available soon. I just updated the firmware. It's not there yet. And the gunshot is kind of cool. You can actually trigger by doing this. This is pretty dope. Next will be the neon light. This is something that is quite unusual. I've never seen a neon feature in any other of these lights. And then I think you can actually go to the home and then set to the RGB. Actually the HSI, for example, and then let's, I don't know, go here, right? Let's see what happens. There you go, exactly as I presumed. You can also engage or disengage by tapping on the actual effect, on and off. Usually something that represents better a neon light is probably something along this colors here, or some crazy green, or like either methods with the saturation. You can also control the saturation. Next effect would be the film. Okay, I see what that's doing. It's a little strobe kind of thing here, which is cool. Okay, speed. There you go. something super fast or something super slow. So this is what it does. And the spark weld, and then the speed all the way to the extreme of 50. Next one will be the paparazzi. And again, you can actually have the flash at this color if you want, or you can press home, go to the CCT, and let's see about, I don't know, 50-some hundred Kelvin or 6,000 or something like that. Go back to the effect, and this is the actual color of the paparazzi flash. You can make it cooler or warmer, and the speed, of course. Next will be the chase. Then you have all these controls here, the floor settings, the shape. You can also control the speed to a slower, to a faster. Now here's the flash mode. This light actually has a Chrome system built in, so you have your ability to do your group or your channels or whatever, as you can see here. But that only works with Chrome, but you can actually even use a pocket wizard, even the old school ones like this. So all I have to do is to plug the thing in here, as you can see. You can fire the test button here, and I'm actually firing from over here as well. So even this can be used over there. But keep in mind that this devices here, they don't support high-speed sync, so you're going to be limited to 1/250th of a second. But when you have a high-speed sync capable device, this light can go all the way up to the thousands. So the flash page here, you can actually control the speed, which is the high sync speed. I believe this is right here. And then the normal, and then off. Let's leave it at normal. And then here you have the test button, which you can fire from here or from any other device that's going to trigger the flash underneath here. Then here you have your groups. You can actually touch the screen or control by the knob here. Each way is fine. So I'm going to leave at group 1. Not that it matters because I don't have any Chrome stuff here. So here's the color temperature of your flash from 3000 all the way to 10,000. And then the channels from 1 all the way to 20, for example. Okay. And here, of course, is your diffusion all the way to 100%. You have a diffuse light or no diffusion. And here's the shutter from 1/50th of a second all the way to trig sync, or before that 1/2500th of a second. It is recommended that you leave it at 1/50th of a second, which is the strongest flash for some reason. And then here you have the max plus. Let's see what happens to the 1/8. There you go, less flash power all the way to the max plus. There you go. And here's the brightness of the modeling light, not the flash. Okay. And over here is your flash effects right here. So this is the test button, just like the other one. And then the delay, for example, let's say a whole second. What happens here? Let me see. Press the test button. There's a little delay. Let's see what happens at 0. It's instant. Got it. Now the repetitions, times 1, and then times 10. And then the number of gaps, let's see what happens at 0.5. There you go. Or at 0.50. And here's the flash mode here. You can actually select the color temperature that you want on the settings of the light. Right now I'm at 5600 degrees Kelvin. And as you can see, a regular pocket wizard, the old one, the +2 for example, it will trigger this light here, which is pretty cool. And if you want to shoot a lot of pictures, you can press this continuously. This light can keep going forever without overheating. So with the DMX here, I'm going to owe you this particular page because I don't have any way to demonstrate this right now. And if I had the unit here, I would be glad to do so. Now let's compare the two lights here in the most fair way possible. This is a $4,000 light and this is a $1,600 light. The price might fluctuate between the two lights. As you know, sometimes merchandise, they vary in price. Sometimes there's a discount thing going on here, especially from all the YouTube channels. And this light here, sometimes B&H throws some crazy deals on it. You know B&H deals, right? This every day there's like a... But anyway, so let's compare apples to apples on a fair way here. This light and this light, because this light comes very close to what this light can do, except what the liquid crystal display on the front is, the whole full touchscreen thing going on here, and all this robustness of this super dense materials here, the crazy fans and everything. So let me go back to the home page here. Let's compare apples to apples. So I have both lights on CCT mode. This light has a full built-in touchscreen display. This light does not. But you have the app here, which connects flawlessly to the light, and this thing never crashes, never freezes. Once you connect here, that's gonna be here to stay. And you can also do firmware updates right through the app to this light right here. Now, right now I'm on CCT mode. The brightness goes from 0% all the way to 100%. And the exposure here is equally as bright, actually, if you remove the diffuser. And when this light has the diffusion disabled, this light is a full stop brighter than this light right here. This light here can go all the way down to 0.5%. This one here can go a ridiculous 0.1%. So over here you can actually go to a ridiculous as low as 0.1%. Shows right there. I don't think the camera can even see 0.1%. Let's go to 0.3. There you go. And I'm gonna be showing you that the light is actually on here. So 0.3%, and there it is. The light is actually on. And I'm at ISO 800, and you can even see my face right there. So 0.5% on the Titan and 0.1% here. Let's try 0.2. The Titan has fans. Of course, you can actually kill the fan. This light here has no fan, but it has a big heat sink. I actually done a couple music videos in the summer. No problem, the light never shut down on me. And again, here's the CCT mode. You can adjust your brightness very quickly. Presets from 3200, 5600, 7000, anywhere in between. Green magenta correction to whatever is extreme that you want. Press and hold, it goes back to the neutral position here. You can also assign several lights with groups. The mix here, for example, if you have other LUXLI lights, you can actually set which one is the brightest. This is the master gain, and this one here is whatever you want. This light here to be set to the brightness, because instead of doing this, you can set this one here to this brightness. So you can actually control these lights all at once. As a matter of fact, of course, this light is infinity times brighter than this light over here. You can actually go to the mix. And so the LUXLI Taiko, the maximum amount of brightness, you can actually set it to this value here, and the LUXLI Fiddle to 100%. So when you actually ramp it down to 7 or 8%, you see the LUXLI Taiko, you can actually bring it up a little bit. So when you actually crank this up to 30%, you can actually make both lights, a huge light and a tiny little light, to have the same amount of intensity. Or you can put everything back to normal, which is not going to be fair. So if you don't want that to happen, you just bring it down the Taiko, for example, only its own sub brightness setting. You can also disconnect the light, whatever you want to do. And on the saved here, you have the particular effect. For example, go back to the siren there. So whatever it is that I did there, how many flashes per second or whatever, you can also delete your effect. You also ask you to confirm. I'm gonna hit cancel. And over here, the same exact way, you can actually create a preset here. You can also save all your presets right there. You can control a single light, a group of lights, or all of them at the same time. So which means you can actually have one CCT, control this, brightness, whatever, independent from the other one. This one can be on RGB, the other one is CCT, this one brightness 4, the other one 100%. Next we have the HSI mode, in which you can control any spectrum of the color here. Same exact way you can actually do it over here. Touch screen, you touch screen. Just add the app here, good to go. Over here you can also set the white point. So this light here, for example, at this particular color here, you can actually go back to the set the white point. You can see that particular color is changing to a warmer tone. If this was a tungsten light when you put a gel in front of the light, or a super cold light, then you exit out here. So I want the white point to be this way here. And here we have the RGB, which you can individually control the colors of each one of these RGB colors here. And the same exact thing over here. You can actually have blue only, or red only, or a combination of anything in between here. Same exact thing. This does that, this does that. The gel, this one has about 150 gels. This one has a ridiculous 1400 gels. But to be honest with you, this is something that I never use. You know, I can have the gels here. I just dial on the HSI. But if you have a particular gel number, this light also can do it for you. All these colors here and more. And everything that you do here, you can actually do it over here too. Just like that. Everything is very intuitive. So whatever mode you are here, for example, the toxicity mode, you can actually turn off the light, go back to the 27% here, go to the 3200 preset, 5600 and whatnot. The HSI, you can actually control the color here, and also press this button here, that's a saturation. And back to the gel here. And this one here, you have the effects. This light here, the amount to control the effects right now as far as software, it kills the Titan. For example, the police car, let's go back to the effects here. You have the speed and everything, okay, to the maximum, whatever, but you can actually stop by pressing the button. Wait until you see this police car right here. So right now, let's choose the police, which is a siren. Press the play button. And this light here divides the effect in two panels. The red is going to be here and the blue is going to be there. This thing does the same exact thing. It's a 2x1 panel in which the police light can also be divided, like, you know, blue here or red here or vice versa. I'm not going to turn this around right now because it's going to mess up my focus on the my camera filming this thing here. So right now you have flashes per minute, cycles per minute, duration of flashes. You can have the thing look pretty similar to what the Titan is doing. And then you go back to the Titan here, it's pretty much the same thing as you can see, right? And this is the maximum speed, and the rate doesn't change a lot. Now here you can go something as crazy as this to something in the middle here. Flashes per cycle. So this can go, I mean, the amount of control and the effects here is absolutely insane. Now the duration of flashes here, as you can see, can be something like very soft, the transition between the two colors, all the way down to something like this here, more like hard, right? So leaving somewhere here, like, I don't know, 27%. So on the police light here, for example, to split the panel, all you have to do is to slide this to a split panel on, and then you're gonna have the light split into two panels, and then, or as a single light. So it acts like this. When you split the panel, it acts like that way. I'm not going to demonstrate every single effect here because I have made a review of the LUXLI Taiko a year ago. The link to this video is right here if you want to catch and watch this whole thing to learn everything more about this light there, which I also include the music video which was filmed with the Taiko. So I'm just going to show you just one more thing with the fire here. You got to press and then press play again. There you go. Now the fire here is one of the most realistic fires, and the level of customizations here, because the police thing and the fire thing is probably one of the features that you guys are going to be using the most for film effects. So right now you have the option of no wind or breeze. But see how realistic the candle, this was so meticulously done on this light here. This is the most realistic candle effect that I've ever seen. And then I have the windy. I actually also recorded a video with a real candle right here, and the LUXLI Taiko on the other side, back and forth, is identical. To wind, no wind, and then the storm, when it's like the window is open, stuff like that. Go back to the breeze here, and here's the campfire and the bonfire. This one here has DMX Control, so this one here, the same types of jack here, the 5-pin kind of XLR cable, whatever you want to call it. This also features a sequence. It's a little bit complicated to show you here. Again, if you want to see more details about the Taiko on these things, you can go to my video here. So this light here, you're paying a lot of money for it because it has a lot built into this light, especially the computer kind of examines by the millisecond how many, is this too green or too magenta, the thing autocorrects. The liquid crystal display, frost kind of mechanism, electronic mechanism inside the front panel, all those things, they cost a lot of engineering. And this stuff costs money as well, not to mention the build quality of this light right here. Everything's made of metal all over the place. So all these things adds up in cost. The design of the thing, how robust the power cord is, the power adapter, right? But both of these lights here, they're both high-end lights and they're both expensive lights, not to the ridiculous price tag of $4,000, but this is almost $2,000 for this light here. This light here is super heavy, and so is this light right here, but not as heavy as this light here. And they both feature the same nice yokes, very nice construction. The weight of this light here, this type of yoke is perfect for that particular weight of the light. Same thing to support this light right here. Another awesome thing that this light can do, I'm pretty sure this light can do that too with firmware. I don't even know if that can already do that, but I didn't find the option here for that. But this particular light here, you use the camera mode, you can actually dial in the color. Let's say that you're shooting a Crayola factory logo, for example. The thing is like, green and orange or blue or whatever. And then you can actually have a picture of the logo. Or even if they have the logo right there, you just point the phone of your camera of your phone right there. You dial that particular purple, for example. It's going to match perfectly the client's logo. This is something that's awesome. And also you can access any picture on your phone. Say sweater is that particular hot pink or whatever. You can actually dial the dot right there. This light is going to reproduce the same exact color by just a tap of a finger here on the screen of the phone or the iPad. But generally speaking, this light can do pretty much, I think, 85% of what this light can do, with the exception of the super sophisticated, super ultra awesome liquid crystal electronic diffusion system here. But this one here, it takes about 2 seconds to elevate and remove the diffusion panel here, which you have the option to buy 3. The light diffusion, the medium diffusion, which is the standard that comes with this light when you purchase, and also the super heavy diffusion, which is what I have attached right here, to compare to the 100% diffusion here with this light, and to see how that goes. And also later I'm going to be showing you guys with actual people how this light actually look on the skin, on the face. This light here features a DMX inputs and outputs the same exact way here, which is the same 5-pin cable, same exact thing. This light has presets. This light has presets. This has a touch screen. This one uses the app, which you can go anywhere, anytime, and just dial whatever thing that you want here, and there you go. You can put the iPad here or put it on a stand or whatever you want to do, but it does have touch screen. And even if you don't have the iPad, you just can do the dial here very quickly, the saturation and also the colors. See how quickly you can change everything, the full expression of the colors. You want to decrease the saturation, press this button here. You want to go back to the gels or the effects or the color temperature, you click on this button here, 3200, 5600, 9%, back to off, 9%. So everything here is also kept with the design in mind, no sub-menus to go to. This whole thing is made of metal, except the diffuser, of course, because light gotta pass through, right? This whole thing here is made of metal, except the V-mount slots and the little panel here on the back here. Otherwise, everything is made of metal. I don't have a color spectrometer here, but other YouTubers, they're already taking measurements of the Sekonic C800 with the color spectrometer, with the how really true the accuracy of the colors are, which this light is absolutely very accurate, just maybe a couple degrees off here and there. So this is designed to provide you outstanding accuracy. It doesn't matter what you're doing. This thing has a micro little computer software on a computer there that's gonna monitor this many I don't know, bits per second, whatever it is they say. So for example, when you are in CCT mode, for example, let's say that you actually dimming the light or altering the color temperature, this light is constantly analyzing every bit of the, I don't know how to explain it, but it autocorrects for you. In case you have the brightness here, and as you know, most lights, when you actually dim it down, you have a big shift on color temperature. Maybe it falls towards the green, towards the magenta, or something crazy along those lines. And this light is trying to automatically monitor and do that for you, so you don't have to worry about the accuracy of the light. And again, this is why you pay $4,000 for this light. This light here, I'm not sure it does that. But as far as the color accuracy, how many luxes and all the stuff you want to know, manufacturer sent me a sheet with the actual test that they did there. and they are pretty accurate as well. So you can actually take a look here what's going on with the lux and the accuracy of the color temperature, the CRR, TLCI. Now here's a huge one, tech support or support of any kind. Let's say that, the worst case scenario, God forbid, this light breaks or stop working, or if you're on set, you need some kind of support. How do we, whatever that is. If you try to contact them, they are all the way in UK, so your two options are you email, which is a very slow process. They got to receive the thing, think about it, write it down, and email you back. Or you can actually pay a very high toll international call, and also the time difference between US and Europe, right? And with this LUXLI brand here, the very guy that made this light, as a matter of fact, I'm going to talk about that later. So continue with the support here. This is a New Jersey phone number in the United States. So if you have any issue with this light, you need to speak with the somebody there, tech support. The phone answers. And right here, if you live in New Jersey, you can drive down there. Hey, what's up, man? My light broke. No problem, right? Now here they say that, which is a good thing, every single person that assembles each one of those lights, they have the name and everything, technician name and logged and everything. They tested the light. So when this light serial number there, you call them, oh, okay, that was, a Henry that actually assembled your panel and mounted the light, built the light. Okay, cool. So they have a whole log control of this light here. So do they. So this is not something that's made in mass production. These units, they are assembled many parts, by hand, each one to mount the components and everything. And the same exact thing with the LUXLI brand. They have the record of the guy that assembled the light, that built this whole thing. So if you have a problem, hey, what's your serial number? Oh, okay, Mike did it. Okay. So you're going to be talking pretty much to that guy or any other competent technician. But the whole story short, this is a very far international phone call. And this one here is a local New Jersey number. Sometimes New York City. You are at home talking to people from our country, right? And the email doesn't really work, not to me. I want to answer now. So I want to call somebody, I want to speak to somebody live, and this guy here is doing that. It would be great if they start to have a US phone number. So if I need to call a 1-800 number, I'm going to be a lot happier, if I need any technical assistance or any emergency on set or whatever, even on a Tuesday, they should be open, right? You call the technician there, hey, what's going on with the light, right? Or anything. It's always a great idea to have a local phone number instead of just overseas. So I points to LUXLI on this one as well. This light over here has this amazing diffusing system here. 100%, nice, diffused, all the way to bare bone LEDs with a little bit of the existing panel that is between the LED and the air, right? But it's pretty much almost bare LEDs. This one here, you have the three options for the panels: the soft diffusion, the medium diffusion, which is default when you purchase this light, and also the ultra heavy diffusion, which is a very thick diffusion, which of course you lose power output. Same exact way you lose power output when you have this diffusion set to 100%, because the light is going to get wider and less powerful. When you have the diffusion set to 0%, you are at 65-degree beam angle and a very punchy light because the LEDs are more exposed. Same thing with this light here. The same type of LEDs that this light have, this has the same exact engineering, and the LEDs that both lights here have is not the generic cheap LED stuff that you see on the lower side on the low budget lights. Usually one of those little LED diodes, and then they put the RGB separate. Those two lights right here, they have the same, everything embedded in one chip, the CCT lights and also the RGB. Same thing with this here, same thing with this there. Now it's up to you if you want to choose the advantage between having an ultra luxurious and super convenient way to diffuse this light just by moving a button here, right? Or tapping with your finger. It's just like having a softbox. Hey, can you take a 24% off diffusion on the softbox? You can't really do that, right? So this light here affords you that luxury, right? This particular light here is almost pretty much the same fastness, if that's a word, as far as being quick, right? You want this thing diffused, 100% here or whatever setting, 0%. This one here you can choose between the three panels. Not to mention that this one here, all it takes is to lift the flaps on the top. The whole panel comes out and fully exposes the LEDs to a ridiculous amount of light output. This one here, you still have the panel in front of the light, which still loses power. And this one here, as soon as you remove the diffusion, it takes like 3 seconds to do that. You have the full blast of the LEDs. This light here is a full stop brighter than this one here. This one here As far as I remember, it was measuring about f22.5, and this one here, it was measuring about f32.5. It's a full stop brighter on CCT compared to these lights right here, with both the diffusers disabled here and the panels were removed. When you put the super heavy diffusion panel back and have the light here on the Titan to 100%, I think they were reading f16.2 and 16.2 or 3 or whatever. So in this case, the power, the brightness of light output is identical. $1,600 light and $4,000 light. And I know this is actually very, very, very accurate, but so is this one here. If you want to take a look at the specifications here on this particular light with the measurements done by the manufacturers, there here's the actual thing. You can pause the video if you want to take a look. This light here, I cannot have ways to measure because I don't have a C800 here. I really wish I have that thing. But other YouTube creators, they already confirmed this light, you know, it's never the way they advertise, but this is like 98.4% exactly what they advertise. So whatever it is that they said this light can do is pretty much accurate to almost like 100%. Same exact thing with this light right here. If you have a Seconic, if you have the chance to have a Taiko in front of you, just bring your Seconic, read what the manufacturer suggests, that how accurate the light is. You're gonna see how pretty much spot on this light also is. So both of these lights here, they are pretty much on par with accuracy, either one of these lights. And this is exactly how these lights, they separate themselves from the enthusiast little consumer market out there with those little $400 little lights, $350, even $800. You're talking about here a light that costs $4,000, and this one here is almost $2,000. So this is a complete different market, and they know people who buy these lights here, they're not enthusiasts. So with that said, this also represents their name, so you know they have a name to uphold, and so do these people right here. Now to resume everything here about how accurate these lights are and to what they claim. Usually this type of manufacturers here, very big filmmakers, if you will, people that make real movies are buying this light, especially something like this here, and they buy these things by the dozen, and like $250,000 with these lights here, for them is like piece of cake. It's like it's nothing, right, for a production of that size. So these companies, they are very proud of what they do, and whatever it is that they say, because they know also YouTubers and other people, they have the technicians, the movie makers, the big guys, they have their color spectrometer there, and the first thing they're gonna do is confirm the stuff. They don't even need YouTube, they have their own devices right there. Okay, this is actually what they say. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, because a lot of people, they color grade their footage in post-productions to give that cool, cold or war movie look kind of thing. As soon as you start color grading, you are actually changing drastically the quality of the light, especially if you don't know what you're doing as far as color grading goes, because the more you touch something, the worse you can actually worsen the footage. So assuming that you guys are experienced editors, but even with that in mind, as soon as you start color grading something, you know that's true, you're gonna actually erase the accuracy to the 0.1 degrees Kelvin. So, you know, I'm not too worried about that. That's why I'm saying this. So if I need to kind of color correct a little bit here, something too cold, too warm, or too green, or too magenta, you have your magenta green correction here, or you can warm it up or cool it down. That's all it takes. Plus you have your gels there, particularly blue or whatever. Let's talk about the power supply here. This thing is absolutely gorgeous, not to mention the electronic components that are inside this power supply here. And also not to mention the cage system here with this beautiful, gorgeous design. This mounts here is like top notch. But that doesn't stop them from wanting to do the same exact thing, but that's gonna also elevate drastically the cost of the light, because if they start making power supplies like this here, this light is gonna go up at least, I would say, $800 because of the material and the engineering and the design and again, the component of the electronics here. And not to mention these cables here, they're very heavy gauge, but this is a 24 volt DC here, and through the outlet, to the power supply here, is either 110 volts or 220. Same exact thing with this here. So this one here's a regular computer cord, and it doesn't mean the electrons flowing in this cable is going to be less efficient than the electrons that are actually passing through this cable here, regardless of the gauge. I can actually put a thick gauge wire here, and this is going to be looking the same thing here. So, you know, it's the same thing with the audio industry, the audiophiles. Somebody invented the snake oil cable. That cable, I think it sells for like $1,500 is a cable. I've seen power cables for like, you know, audiophiles that you're paying like, you know, $800 on a power cable. Now when you want to run this light on DC, they have their own accessory, which I highly recommend that you only buy things from the same brand because you don't want to break a light. But with that said, you have the ability to run this light at 100% with the same accuracy of the colors and everything, either by running through the outlet or through the V-mount brick that they sell there. Same exact thing with this light here, because you've seen some lights, as soon as you put a V-mount battery here, the light is locked to 50% maximum or maybe 80%, and then it drops the percentage. The LUXLI Taiko here allows you to run the light at 100% with the same light accuracy with only 2 V-mount batteries, and this is a 400 watt light. 200 watt hour battery here and another 200 watts going to make a 400 watt hour battery, which means this light can run for 1 hour with 2 200 hour V-mount batteries here. But again, you can actually run this light at a full 100%, the same exact way you're going to run this light using the power on the, coming from the outlet here. Same exact thing. That doesn't limit anything. So you want to run AC, you can have this thing at 100%, or with the V-mount batteries, you can also have this thing at 100%. Same exact thing as this one here. Okay, so I have the Titan about 2.5 feet away from her, and right now I'm using the Canon C200 and the 1DX Mark III, and the 1DX Mark III is actually loaded with the Cinetech profile, so you guys can see how the color grading will look like in case you guys want to do something like that. And the C200 is shooting straight with no special filters or any different thing. Right now I have the Rotolight Titan placed about 2.5 feet from her, and the intensity set to 2.5%. Right now the Titan has 0 diffusion and is at 2.5%. So I'm gonna gradually add diffusion. Pay attention to her face there. And I see the LEDs kind of disappearing a little bit. And then this is at full diffusion. And of course you have to compensate, because when you put a diffuser here, even the built-in electronic diffuser, you have to compensate with a little bit of extra lighting here, right? So right now I'm at 2.5%. I believe 4% should fix that. Then it goes back to the same exposure here. And this is the result with the light falling on her face. Full diffusion, the shadows and everything. Looks beautiful. And again, with no diffusion whatsoever. So 2.5% no diffusion, and then 4% full diffusion. Right now I'm on HSI with 6% light intensity. The light is placed again at 2.5 feet away from her face. Now I'm gonna go to the full spectrum here. As the colors change, you will notice that the exposure is gonna be stronger, or the colors, the exposure, they're not so strong. So I can't control that because I'm over here, but just to get you an idea what happens with this panel. So right now I'm back to CCT mode, and this light is actually at 5600 degrees Kelvin. Then let's see how the 3000 will look like. And this camera is locked on custom Kelvin degrees to 5600 degrees Kelvin there. Now the light settings is set to the finest, so let's try to do a transition, just in case you need, in the middle of filming, this light to transition from this particular color temperature here all the way to 10,000 Kelvin. So let's try to see if this is going to be running smoothly, because the LUXLI Taiko, it does run smoothly. It doesn't have occasional jumps. So this light here, if that occasionally jumps, is because on the back of the light on settings, we have to switch to the finest setting on the transition like that. So let's see what happens here. Now we're going to be starting the transition here. I'm actually sliding my finger very slowly and to see if the light is going to kind of jump something. It looks like I can get away with this here all the way to 10,000 degrees Kelvin. So as you can see, you have that beautiful bluish tint on her face there, in case your scene requires such color. So my studio here is about 36 by 19. It's not a huge place anyway, but the area that I'm utilizing here is only 12 by 19, literally 12 feet across here, right? So in tight spaces like this is when this built-in electronic diffusion here helps a lot, because you can't really place a extra diffusion here. Even if you back out the light, still there's no space on a room like this here. So this is actually excellent thing to have. They have accessories for everything. They have barn doors, soft boxes, everything, but you can't use such thing in this time space here. I already compensated the brightness here in the back of the light, but let me show you, besides the great diffusion system this light has, what if you even wanted to add more diffusion? Look how this looks like. That's absolutely gorgeous. And of course, if you can actually back out the light, the degree of diffusion is going to be greater, because more light will hit this thing here. It's going to become even a bigger light source, but right now the light is actually very close to her face, but it gives you an idea here how this will look like, right? Now a quick test here with the LUXLI Taiko with the heaviest diffusion panel, and this is the result that you're gonna see, which is very satisfactory as well. Next, I'm going to be doing a test with power consumption at several settings here. This is the LUXLI Taiko at 110 volts US. The watts is showing 0. Turning on the light. It's about 5 watts of power consumption with the light just powering this LCD display here. So the light at 1% is going to draw about 16.5 watts. At 50%, it's drawing about 111 watts. At 100%, 208, 209 watts. Let's see what happens with the daylight, the tungsten. 221 watts, 219 watts, 210 watts, 208. So these LEDs here, they draw slightly more power. And let's go to the RGB. Depending on the color, the power consumption is going to be different. At this setting, it's reading about 66 watts. Let's see what happens here. About 80, 85, 53, 34, and 41. So there's a slight power consumption difference here when you run this RGB colors here. Right, now let's see what happens to the Titan here. Right now with the light completely off, it's drawing about 3.4, 4.2 watts, same voltage, and the wattage here. Let's turn on the Titan. Right now it's drawing about 9 watts. Now the light at 0.5% is drawing about 9.9 watts. 1% about 10.5 watts. And at 50%, it's drawing about 86.3, 85 watts, something like that. And this is also running at 5600 degrees Kelvin. Now at 100%, it's drawing about close to 200 watts. Now let's see what happens when we switch to 3200 degrees Kelvin. $328 watts, really? 5600 degrees Kelvin. Interesting. 197. Let me check something here. Let's go to the system. Make sure the brightest mode was at max lux. Let's try the constant lux now. That should do it. All right, so let's go back to 5600 degrees Kelvin. And it's about 183 watts. And let's see what happens when we drop that down to 3200 degrees Kelvin. And now that makes sense. Okay, all right. So the LUXLI Taiko keeps its thing exactly how the system is doing here, the constant lux. It doesn't get brighter in the middle like 4200 Kelvin. Okay, so but this light here, if you don't want that to do that, make sure you go to the settings here on brightest mode and make sure that it is set to constant lux. So when you actually ramp up your color temperature, the light is going to maintain the same degree of exposure. So if you want the maximum output somewhere in the between, just make sure that you do max lux. Now again, if you want the same consistency, make sure that's some constant lux. We want to go back here. And as we ramp up or down, if you look at the meter here, everything is going to be pretty much the same power consumption here across the entire range of the light here. Now again, when you change to the maximum, you go back here and look what happens, right? So it's drawing about 340, 300 some watts there. As you ramp it up, 350, 440 some watts. And then it kind of quiets down. Let's see what happens to 10,000 degrees. About 200 some watts. Yeah, so if you want a constant thing, all you gotta do is, again, go back to the system and make sure this is set to constant lux. So right now I'm going to be doing a test of brightness with the Titan and the LUXLI Taiko. Right now the Titan is set to 100%, as you can see here, and the diffuser is off, 0%. And I don't have anything special here, it just tells you what the f-stops are. You know, that doesn't matter because when you see the thing increasing, it means this light is particularly brighter than the other one. It's the same exact thing as having a lux meter or whatever. So right now I'm at ISO 800 and 30 frames per second. You know, what matters is these numbers here, okay, right now. So I'm gonna be measuring this right on the center here, going right against the projection screen here, and the result is f22.4. Now we are turning on the Taiko, which is at 100%, 5600 degrees Kelvin. No diffusion whatsoever, the panel has been removed, and the last reading was f22.4. And let's try that again, all the way against the wall here, and it's reading f45.2 against f22.4 right there. Now is the Taiko at 100%, and the diffusion panel has been applied here. And I'm gonna read against the wall there, it's gonna be f22.4. Turn this off, turn on the Titan, set to 100%, and diffuser 100%, right there. So let's see what we got here. So the last reading from the Taiko was f22.4, and let's do the measurement here again, and that's gonna be f16.2. Now the last test that I'm doing here, I wanna see if that's gonna alter the exposure if I switch from 5600 degrees Kelvin to 3200 degrees Kelvin. Now the exposure here is going to be f16.8. Now let's bring it back to 5600 degrees Kelvin. Right there, 100%, and the diffuser is 100%. So the last reading was 16.8, 16.4. There's a slight fall between the daylight settings and the tungsten settings. Now let's test the Taiko here at 3200 degrees Kelvin. f22. Go back to 5600. And 22 is going to be 22.4. So they're doing the same exact thing here. So a slight rise, like about a third of a half stop when it changed the color temperature. So pretty much this is doing the same exact thing. So apparently it tends to be a little brighter on the daylight or vice versa. So that's the end of my review here, and I hope you enjoyed the content of this video. I hope it was helpful to you in somehow, some level. And if you catch it, give me a thumbs up. That tells me that I'm doing a good job here. And if you want to leave a comment down in the comment section, I make sure I respond to every single thing over there. And once again, thank you very much for your time, and I see you next time.